Well, if there is a #1 request I have gotten as far as being a mud mower guy over the years, it is, can you put a 5-speed or a 6-speed into an MTD? And the answer, obviously, as you just saw, is yes, you definitely can. But this will be a semi-tech video with a lot of information so that if you want to do this, you can try yourself. So over here, we've got the Vari drives. Now, when you're looking at the machine, you need the type of machine where the Vari drive sits here and has the idler tensioner in front of it, and the Vari drive is in the axle. If your Vari drive is part of your frame over here, this isn't going to work. You need a Vari drive system where it is in the axle. They work differently, and there's a reason you need this. We're going to catch up to that in a sec. The other thing that I ended up discovering was, well, when this wasn't exploded, was that the height from these to where the pulley height was 3 inches. And that is important, because if we come over here to our MST that we have, the height from where the pulley sits to the deck height here for the frame is 4 inches. So that's not going to work. The other thing that I'll point out while we're here is I found a unit that had the extended shifter. These are usually in Murray's and things like that. There are 930s that come with this. There are a couple of spicers that come with this. And there are MST 205s and 206s that come with these extendeds. You need one of these for the way that I did it. So the sun is setting. We're going to try and do this quickly. So if you look at this, you'll see it is tipping down. It's more than just the tire size that's causing this. Remember our 3 to 4 inches difference? There also is one more thing that is different about these that we're about to show you what's going on. From here to here on the frame of an MTD is a different width. MTD transaxles do not bolt into regular chassis, and regular chassis transmissions do not bolt into MTD transmissions. It is designed from factory that way to mess you up and make it harder. So, if we come in underneath here, what we're going to see is I have put a lift block. And as you can see, that bolt lines up almost perfectly with the frame rail. So that bolt is captively welded into the frame rail itself. In order to be able to mount this transmission, you literally have to jack this thing high enough that you can drop it off of the 4 bolts that are welded in. On the other side over here, I welded in another frame mount to come down in order to hit this on the tranny. That way, when you're torquing up on the brakes and you're torquing the transmission, it doesn't just snap it off the back end. I do need to finish one more for here over to the frame. It is very important that you make sure that this is level with the frame. You're dropping down 1 inch. You need to make sure everything is perfectly level. Now you can see my shifter. My shifter goes up, has a lock bracket on it, and then that way I can shift side to side over the top of the unit. Right there. This is just here for nostalgia. Really, I just was lazy and didn't remove it. So, did I change anything in the drivetrain? Yes, I did. So, this is the stock double clutch that an MTD engine drive belt comes with. So over here, when I hit the go pedal on my MTD, it comes around like so. And then resets. So when I want to drive, I push the pedal down. When I want to stop, I let off. Drive, let off, drive, let off. And best of all, the independent brake actually still works. All the way back to the brake. Now, there is a couple of things you got to do to make this work. In order to run a bigger engine pulley, you have to put an idler in that brings it around the steering column. The other thing is you have to drop your entire steering column down far enough that you can clear your bigger engine pulley. Like so. So what you'll find is this entire system, see there's a bolt hole there, that's the original. I welded washers in and dropped the whole entire system down so it lines in at 1 inch under what it originally did. That allows this engine pulley to clear at just a little over 9 inches. And in the back, we've got about a 5 inch on the back. And thus, we have 28 miles per hour on a 5-speed. But we're not done with the project yet. So what's the next evolution of the bug now that we've proven that we can put a 5-speed into one of these Yardman MTDs by using the stock double clutch system? Well, as it is right now, I'm wasting time shifting between gears on this. So what I've created over here is MST sells 3-speed MST 203s. So what I've done is I've taken our 3-speed setup and I've taken a 6-speed set of gears and I have cut it down so it's 1st, 4th, and 6th gear using 203 spacers. And unfortunately, this is a 2-key shifter, so I'm going to have to be careful about my shifts and pay attention. But at this point, we've got a 1st, a 4th, and a 6th gear with our spacers. I did end up having some mesh issues with this. I'm not quite sure why, but I ended up putting a washer there to wedge this one over a little bit because it was interfering between these two. I think it's just because of the gear difference, because originally this would have had that gear, this gear and this gear in between the two, and would have made for different spacing. So those two gears would have been right here in between, and these two gears would have been in between these two. And the spacing's a little bit different, because if you notice, those gears are fat and a little bit wider, whereas these gears are a little bit thinner, and I think that's where the shimming was required. So we're going to throw this thing in and we'll see what happens on race day.